security of lives and property today is worse than it was yesterday. Increasingly, the Boko Haram operators are finding it harder to operate. As we speak, we understand, like Pressman, as we speak, we understand that Boko Haram is entering into pacts with governments in certain parts of the north and are being paid to hold operations. So you find that the hands of the government is being bent backwards. And let us not forget that the primary purpose of government is the security of lives and property and the provision of an enabling environment for the citizenry to operate. Now, let us look at, I've spoken about corruption, I've spoken about the petroleum industry. Let us look at power. So, if you look at all these indicators, things that will, revamp the economy, things that will be the measurement for good life, none of this has received any meaningful attention under the president. And let's come to Delta State. In the case of Delta State, we can say that the picture is good. I say so because if you do a comparative analysis of the governments we have had before now and the present government, you will certainly see a difference, and a positive difference for that matter. Now, I'll tell you something. In the case, unlike that of Tinubu, in the case of the governor of Delta State, I personally campaigned against him because I under-expected him to perform. And he has surpassed my expectations. He has disappointed me in a positive way. And look around the state. See a lot of infrastructural work going on. You can see a government that is sensitive and responsive to the complications that we have in Delta State. So the differential in ethnic composition of Delta State, one would be surprised that a man that is least expected to perform, we have had medical doctors rule this state before now. We have had a lot of educated people rule this state before now. The basis, with all due respect, upon which I campaigned against this governor was that in relative comparison with others, he was not as educated. But I am surprised that he has surpassed even the professionals. He has performed far, far better than the professionals. If I had an opportunity again, I would apologize to him and tell him, I'm sorry, my assessment of you was wrong. But perhaps it is possible that some of the criticisms we levied against him was what made him take the challenge to have performed the way he has performed. I can tell you that Delta State, under the current governor, is one that is enviable. And if it continues like this, it is my hope that he will not be corrupted by politicians. Let him not see this as the end of the road. Let him see this as the beginning. He's going to
Barrister, I'll just allow you all your thoughts there. I'll come back to you again. Okay. But let me quickly get Dr. Fred Latimo, who is also joining us via the phone, I think from the state capital, Asaba, to give us his first assessment. Of course, I don't expect you, Dr. Fred Latimo, to say that Governor Sheriff Oborevwori has not done well, but let me still get your thoughts on what you think about what the government you are serving has done in the past 2 years, as well as what you think about the government at the center.
Laju, thank you very much. I'm glad to hear the voice of my learned friend, Ariyo, once again. I've not seen Ariyo for a long while after I left APC in 2016. I've not had the opportunity to meet with Ariyo, but I can tell you that he's one of the intelligent lawyers that I respect in this country. And let me also thank Ariyo once again for being truthful. That is what I know him to be all along. Even for the few period I spent in APC the other time before when I finally defected back to APC recently. That Ariyo will always back to the truth. He will always tell you what he knows to be the truth. And he has spoken eloquently about the performance of this administration headed by His Excellency, Right Honorable Dr. Sheriff Francis Oborevwori. But before I go into the performance, let me quickly correct one impression. There is this impression of say not educated that you mentioned that the government is educated, and I beg to differ. I think I met a governor 40 something years ago in the college. We happened to meet in the college, not as politicians, not as business people, but as young people who met in the same school. And we were together for some period before we all broke out again to different schools to finish our secondary education. And from that time up to now, I've been monitoring his progress academically and otherwise, and he has also been monitoring mine. And I knew that when he finished secondary school, when he entered into Abusaidi University, we were contacting, we were connecting, we were visiting each other. When he left there, he read masters in political science in Delta State University, Abraka. I was also aware. And of course, during the legal battles after the election in 2023, a majority of his classmates in Delsu and in Abu University, they all came to testify in court that he was indeed, their classmates, and they all finished school together. So, but I think where people got the governor wrong is that we all don't have the same power of expression. You can imagine when Barrister Rio was talking, he was so fluent. He was very fluent in English. But not every one of us are fluent that way. That does not mean that if we are not fluent, that we are not educated. So that is the area where people were beginning to think that the government is not educated. But I dare to tell you that His Excellency is well educated, well grounded. He has a first degree, he has a master's degree, and he has also attended leadership courses in UK and other countries. And the reflection of all those went back to the same House of Assembly. Hello, are you there? Hello? Hello?
I can hear you. I don't know if
yes, I can hear you now. Yeah, I can hear you now. So he went back to the same House of Assembly that has been making this budgetary approval to say that the money that the House approved, this is how we have spent the money. And that was contained in a 69-page of his midterm report to the House of Assembly. And in that report, we were aware that he did say that this administration has, backed on 431 road projects with a length of about 2,595.56 kilometers across the state. And this is a matter of fact, and he highlighted all the roads, although he couldn't finish the list because it was quite comprehensive. But the major ones we can take are the flyovers in Efun, DSA about PTI, and NRA Junction. That one is visible. Everybody driving around those facilities will see the massive construction work that's going on there, using the best contractor in this country, Julius Berger, Nigeria PLC. And then also the dualization of the 42, the 46 kilometer Ugele Asaba Road. That one is also something that is very visible. Okay, when you are driving from Ugele now to Asaba, you can see that road has been completed, almost completed. Remaining about a few jobs to be done there for the governor to commission. But you can see now that the testimonies coming from Beltans shows that the Ugili Asaba Express dualization is a remarkable progress. And then if we are the Thanksgiving service of this administration on the 29th, you will recall that the Archbishop Odutelu did say that he made Ugili to Asaba 1 hour 19 minutes. And that is as a result of the good job that this administration has done in the area of road construction. So in educational sector, it's all the same thing. The 3 universities that we have and the other institutions of higher learning that we have in the state has been receiving boosts from the government. Equipping the schools in terms of infrastructure, and also providing the enabling environment for our students to study and be able to make headways in life.
Dr. Latimo, you've spent quite a lot of time to talk about the achievement of the current administration. Of course, I expect that to happen because you are one of the mouthpieces of the current administration here in Delta State. But when you said you were monitoring the academic progress of the governor, Sheriff Oboriwori, and he was also monitoring yours, I was taken aback. Was it that you guys had an agreement to monitor each other's education?
No, the monitoring is this. Like if you're my friend, we'll keep talking all the time. I know that you and I will talk regularly. Okay. And if you're a student, if I knew you as a student and we were both students in different schools, we will always call on each other on phone.
Anyway, yes, that is on a lighter note. But you appear to have spoken a lot about the achievement of the administration of Sheriff Oboriwori here in Delta State. But you've not given your assessment of the government at the center. For you, what do you think? 2 years of Asiwaju's administration.
2 years of administration of Asiwaju is a bomber harvest. In several areas. On infrastructure is the same thing. And I'm sure just a few minutes ago, they concluded the commissioning of a part of the road projects from Delta, Ogun, Lagos, and all that to Calabar. But the one from Lagos to Calabar was commissioned this afternoon, which is a monumental success. That program was executed with all concentration. And the quality of job as analyzed today on television by the engineers shows that the Asiwaju administration is out for solid and enduring projects. Let me also say that my learned friend did not quite capture the picture of the president properly because, the problems that His Excellency the President met on ground was an accumulative program and debts and issues from the previous administration. And I think that members of the National Assembly at the Senate and House of Rep level, they have also mentioned that Mr. President inherited almost an empty treasury. I don't know how far that is true. But if that is true, what he has embarked upon is a reconstruction exercise. It is redeeming the country from the backlog of a lot of issues. And one of the bold steps we took was the removal of fuel subsidy, which has given so many states now, that enabling environment to operate. In the sense that what used to go to the so-called fuel importers, these young men who were buying private jets with our money without supplying us fuel, that leakages that Mr. President blocked, where the fund was now rechanneled back to the subnational state. The state government. And that is why you see that most governments...
Just hold your thoughts there. There are quite a couple of questions I would like to ask as far as that is concerned. But I'll allow Reverend Louis Afolabi, who is with me here in the studio, to also give us his first assessment of the administration of Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu 2 years and that of Sheriff Oboriwori 2 years.
Well, Laju, thank you very much for this opportunity. Where do I start? If I'm to speak the way I know what happens in Nigeria, what's happening in Nigeria, concerning Bola Ahmed Tinubu performance, I will score him low. But I am not surprised, unlike Barrister Rio, who said he had high expectation. I did not have high expectation. So I will not be surprised. Because I knew, number one, that what was achieved in Lagos State will be difficult to replicate in Nigeria. If you understand Nigerian politics very well, I understand Nigerian politics, I understand Lagos State politics. And so I not see him being able to replicate what he did in Lagos State with Nigeria. Lagos State is not a multi-ethnic state, but Nigeria is a multi-tribal, multi-ethnic, multi-religious, that you need to understand the dynamics of Nigeria. Most politicians don't understand the dynamics of Nigeria in terms of exposure. So I didn't see him. The kind of politics he plays in Lagos State, he needs to play that kind of politics in Nigeria to be able to have a control, and that's what he's doing presently. By this, trying to make sure that everybody is being swipe, cajole, whatever language you want to choose, to bring them into one family, because that's what he did in Lagos State. So if this was whipping, cajoling, whatever he's doing to bring everybody into one roof, may likely lead to his performance in his second tenure, so be it. So I was not expecting much. Number two, that age was not on his own side. The versatility that is needed to handle to handle the complexity of Nigeria may not also be to his own advantage. He was much younger when he ran Lagos State. Now he's older, and the problems in Nigeria is monumental. So I did not expect much. But then when you look at it, pick one or two things in terms of education. We have not had the usual mensural academic ASU strike since he came into government. So we should give him kudos for that. At least in the last 2 years, education has been stabilized. That's for university education. There have not been that strike that perennial strike that we're used to under previous regimes. So we should commend him in terms of education. When you now talk about infrastructure, I think the Minister for Works have shown that commitment to ensuring that roads infrastructure that are bad across Nigeria, they start visible presence in terms of trying to deal with those challenges that affects our roads. We can commend him on that. But when you go to aspects that are critical, like electricity, I'm sad that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu could still be keeping Benkelemes, what is his name? What the current minister for power, and still should be keeping such a person, because each time that guy appear on the media, he's talking something that is discouraging. He has never given us any hope that we are going to solve this electricity problem. And you know how critical electricity is to any nation's economy, that he has not been able to tackle. And he said, and that video is trended everywhere, that if he cannot solve the electricity problem in the next 4 years of his governance, he was saying this before he became president, that they should not vote him for a second term. So if Nigerians are to judge him by his own words, Bola Ahmed Tinubu does not deserve a second term. Because he said the video is everywhere. You are a media person, you can. Okay.
What about Sheriff Oborevwori here in the state? What is your own assessment?
My assessment of Sheriff, I've said it time and again. My only fear for him, that now he has become to APC, he'll be able to maintain. They will not get him corrupted under the new arrangement. But I have said it here time and again that Sheriff has performed very well. His governance has been very impactful in terms of in the context of the definition of democracy, which is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. He has been the people's a person, so to say. He has not disconnected himself from the people. He has ensured that in the last 2 years, he has kept himself constantly in the minds of Deltas, and he has been responding to their issues. He has not allowed the politics of dominance of one ethnic group above the other, which is very, very critical in ruling a state like Delta State. Once you are governor of Delta State, you must understand the sensitivity of Delta State. However, any person that rules Delta State does not understand the sensitivity of Delta State will implode under him, and there's nothing he can do. But he has been able to understand the dynamics, the different ethnic groups that constitute Delta State. They have been able to manage the differences, and they are able to ensure that projects are not cited in any ethnic area as against others. He has ensured that he has spread the projects across. You go to Delta South, you see project going on there. Delta Central, you see project. Delta North, you see project going on. So he has been able to do that successfully so far.
You hold your thought because we'll find a way to manage your time now,
Yes,
so we can look at as many issues as possible.
Yes,
but we also give those listening to us the opportunity to be part of the conversation. The number to call is 09128784237. 09128784237. I'll come back to you, Barrister Robinson Areyo. I'm sure you discover that there appears to be a level of disagreement between what you think about the administration of Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu and what Dr. Fred thinks about the administration. Of course, I don't expect him to say something different. He's now a member of the APC. There was a time, even when he was in the PDP, I was asking him if he was speaking as a spokesperson of the APC. But for you, one of the issues that Dr. Fred has attributed as a gain to the administration of Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu is the removal of fuel subsidy, and the way he did it, and he said the sub-national, the state, are not getting more money for you. Do you see that as a plus, as a gain, by the Asiwaju's administration, or you think that that in itself may even be another challenge as far as the administration is concerned?
Well, my regret is that the time is too short to really respond, adequately to the Ahmed Tinubu's question. But let me make it simple. If you were to go out there and ask the common man today about his purchasing power 4 years ago and his purchasing power today, and the ability of that purchasing power to meet his needs, and ask him to differentiate between what used to be 4 years ago and today, an alarm will ring. Now let me reduce it. How much was a bag of rice 4 years ago? How much was the average earner on the street earning 4 years ago? You see, at the end of the day, after the grammar of electricity, after the grammar of subsidy, the simple question is, what is the purchasing power of the common man? Remember that democracy is the government of the people, by the people, for the people. Meaning that the government of democracy is supposed to be a people-oriented and people-participatory kind of government.
Chief, I'm sorry, Barrister. Are you saying that the Tinubu's administration in the past 2 years has not been people-centric?
No.
It has not, because being people-centric means that you are utilitarian. Utilitarianism is a philosophy in which the greatest happiness is for the greatest number of people. The greatest number of Nigerians today are suffering. Look at the minimum wage. Look at what you can take home. Look at what house rent costs today. People are hungry, and crime is on the high. Now, you see, the point is this. What is the ratio? What is the value of naira to dollar today? The Tokumbo car you used to be able to buy 4 years ago, you can't get close to it today. So you find that almost every is school fees, and yet, you see, yes, Tinubu may be playing a lot of politics, and that is why you see the most disappointing element in this whole thing is the Labour Congress. You see, oftentimes they've gone on strike to achieve a simple objective, and that is increment of wages. Two things about that. They have not been able to achieve it up till now. As I speak with you, the judiciary workers in Federal High Court have embarked on strike again. What will happen is that they will be played politics with, and they will return without anything coming home to the workers. Now, the point I'm making is that, you see, life is fighting harder and harder on the people. Much more so that people are so now disillusioned, they can't even protest. Nobody can talk. Because the level of hunger and discomfort is so intense that, there's a level that a man will get hungry up to, and will no longer be able to articulate himself. You see,
You have 1 minute remaining.
may be able to take us home, but majority of Nigerians, the overwhelming majority of Nigerians are hungry, and the hunger is palpable.
Your count is too low for this call. Dial *303# to borrow airtime from MTN. Airtime amount.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll come back to you, Chief. But quickly, I'll come back. Let me get Reverend Louis. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Yeah, I greet everybody there. Yeah, this is MCB. I'm calling from Willie Street right now.
Okay, continue.
Yeah. Now, let us get it clear. You know, in this country, what we are practicing now is civilian rule, not democracy. We are practicing civilian rule because in a democratic system, the power are in the hands of the electorate, not in the hands of those that voted into offices. It's not like this country we will see where in a democratic system you as a leader, you that have been elected, you go and represent, you go and do this there. You have power more than the electorate. Only in this country. If you observe during the campaign of the president, Ahmed Tinubu, when he was coming, he never said what he will do. He was just letting us know that it is his son to rule, and he will rule. He will not bring out anything. Okay, this thing will be done. This thing will be done. Look at the minister of power. What do you expect from the minister? What is people using power bank? What do you expect? So you say the system is dwindling. You know, look at what the president did some months back now. He fixed solar system in Astro Villa. So the majority of the masses should be in darkness. Why not think of how that solar will be in the country? We don't look at only one sector, you put the solar there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I think. Thank you very much. I think your position is well understood. About Dr. Fred, let me bring you back into the conversation. Let me just ask a simple question before I put the main question to you. How difficult it is it for you now to assess the administration of Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu, knowing that just a couple of months ago, you were in the PDP and expected to be playing the role of an opposition in the PDP, and all of a sudden you have left the PDP for the APC, and now Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu's government is now your government. How difficult it is it for you to really assess his administration?
If you recall, Laju, that even when you asked me about the APC and Asiwaju performance in our previous discussions, I've always insisted that the issue of fuel subsidy is a blessing to all of us, in the sense that the money realized from that now is what most of the state governments are now using to develop their various states, including Delta, because the allocation from the federal government has gone up tremendously, and this is money that usually will go into the pockets of the so-called independent importers and the rest of them. So I think that is a plus, and I've always emphasized on that.
But if you are saying, let us stay on the issue of fuel subsidy. If you are saying that fuel subsidy removal is a plus for the administration and has been to the benefit of Nigerians, there are a lot of people that would disagree with you on that, because the argument is that one of the reasons Nigerians are suffering and inflation is eating the rooftop is as a result of fuel subsidy removal. So the question is it that they are giving you the subnational the money and you are not using it to reduce food inflation in your various states? Doesn't it look like for you that the negative impact of fuel subsidy is outweighing the positive impact that you are trying to allude to?
Now, take it from this perspective. The removal is one of the major economic reforms of Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. And usually in drastic economic reforms, if you look at where it has taken place around the world, China, Singapore, everywhere, there is a short period where the citizens will usually feel the impact of those reforms. And those impacts are not permanent. And if you recall, when the fuel subsidy was removed, we bought fuel for about 1,600 naira per litre. Some even bought for 2,000 naira per litre. Today it's between 910 naira per litre. Some even sell for 895, 880 per litre. So the price is dropping because of the positive effect of the reforms. It will be like that until when the economy comes to normalcy, where everybody, the inflation rate will also be drastically reduced. If you watch
the person who has the responsibility. Sorry, Dr. Fred.
Just give me a minute. The inflation is also reducing now. And from what the state governments are getting, more roads are being constructed. Our education sector is performing better. The health sector is getting more drugs, they are doing well. And in Delta, for example, we have been able to empower 266,337 people from what we are getting in various programs that we have, like the Getter Care program, the Bureau for Work and Job Creation, the Ministry of Women Empowerment. All of these put together, we have been able to do 206,737 in less than 2 years. Okay, so if you look at that number of empowerment and how it has impacted on the state economy, you will know that the fuel subsidy removal is also a plus for us.
But if we want to take the case of Delta State, for example, like you talk about, and I've heard some people have this conversation too, is how the infrastructure being carried out by the government is also helping to promote economic activities, or it is helped in food production. For example, the last budget on agriculture, that should be 2024, it recorded that it's only about 10% of that budgeted sum that was released to the Ministry of Agriculture. And if you look at food inflation in Delta State, it's hitting the rooftop and people are complaining. Most of these roads being constructed, people are asking questions if they are leading to the farms, industrial areas, and would have economic impact on the state. But it appears that is not happening. And when you talk about the people tightening their belt for a period of time, they are also saying that the politicians like you are not also tightening your bet, that it appears you are loosening your bet to accommodate more. How do you respond to all of that?
No, the large we all buy from the same market. There is no special market created.
But we don't take the same money to the same market.
We all go to the same market. We all buy from the same market. But what I'm trying to let you know is very simple. That the removal of fuel subsidy has been attested to as one of the reasons why we are doing well in Delta and elsewhere. The 36 governors of this country, they've all attested to that fact, that it was a blessing to everybody. So it cannot be a negative impact. It must be a positive impact. And that positive impact is what we are talking about here.
Okay, I'll come back to you to get your final take on this, because we are almost completely running out of time. But for you, Reverend Louis of Labi, you know, the issue of fuel subsidy, it has always been a contentious issue alongside every other thing. You've talked about it, some of the things that the Minister of Works is doing, David Umahi, and also what Nyesom Wike is doing in the Federal Capital Territory. In fact, some people say if Ashiwaju has any reason to talk in this, as far as administration is concerned, is because of Nyesom Wike. However, when you look at the way the issue of fuel subsidy was handled, the way Ashiwaju has put some people in some ministry, for example, the Ministry of Solid Minerals, where you have Yemika, where you have Wale Edun, and nobody knows what is.
No, Wale Edun.
Sorry, Jenny Alake. Do you have concerns? Does it look like that we are having the right people in the right position to deliver the desired results?
That's I'm saying that the success in Lagos was because Tinubu Abola Ahmed were putting round holes in a round peg. But in the case of the current leadership in Nigeria, he's playing politics. Alake has no business in the mineral sector. He is a journalist in and out. But because of the politics, you have to put him there. That's the point I'm making. What is Penkelemesh, the Minister for Power, doing there? Otherwise, other than that, keeping an Ibadan man in government, that man is a zero to his government. But because he has to play politics, keep him there. That's the point. What's the man for blue water economy? His younger cousin, former governor of Osun State. What is he doing there? He's playing politics. So governance has been lowered in its national leadership compared to Lagos. Lagos, there was more governance, but here in national leadership, there's more politics.
Okay.
So that to an extent has not been able to help him deliver. You talk about NNPC. NNPC, a lot of money was pushed into NNPC, Port Harcourt refinery, Warri refinery. So much noise was made about it. Today, all of them, we are told, have been shut down. Where did the money go to? Nobody has been questioned. Kakayiri, as whatever his name is, he has moved over to whatever country and is hibernate somewhere. Nobody's questioning. So there's more politics than governance in his leadership. So we need to make him and talk to him to wake up and begin to deliver on governance.
Okay, Mr. Robinson, if there's anything that people like you would be concerned about as far as this administration is concerned, is how this administration has helped to uphold the tenets of democracy and also strengthen democracy in our country. With what we are seeing, the turn of event and how Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu has managed the political space, would you say that the administration has done well as a Democrat? Has he done well in promoting democracy, or you think that he has done more harm than good in the past 2 years?
If you look at the analysis, we seem to be emphasizing that more money has, by the policies and program of this administration, been injected into the hands of government. You see, democracy is not the government of government. Democracy is the government of the people. And you see, you cannot remove utilitarianism from democracy. I'm talking about the poor people. How much has the policies and programs impacted in the lives of the poor people, who are the majority? Because if we say we are practicing democracy, it should be a people-oriented and people-driven government, which means that policies and programs should align with the needs and yearnings of the people. So what meaning does it make if more billions of naira is injected into the treasury of the government, as opposed to the common man being able to afford 2 square meals per day? So for me, the measurement of performance from the streets is how easy is it for the average family, the common family, to put meal on their table.
Yes, Barrister, the question I put to you is, because you have different areas with which you can measure the performance of any administration, and one of them is in the area of democracy. If you say we are practicing democracy, a government can either help to further the cause of democracy and the tenets of democracy, and a government can also help to turn a democracy into an autocracy or a mere civilian rule and all of that. When you look at the way Asiwaju has managed the democratic space, would you say he has done well in helping to promote democratic practice in the country? Yes.
Laju, you cannot discuss democracy in isolation of the objective of democracy. You cannot discuss politics in isolation of economics. The purpose for which you have political programs, the purpose for which you have democracy in the first place, is to make life better for the people. Remember that what is democracy? Democracy is the government of the people, by the people, for the people. The 4 there is about people. So the point I'm making is that if you want to define democracy only within the precinct of politics, then you'll be missing the point. So if you want me to answer, for instance, that he has been more democratic, he has created more space for participation and all the rest. Participation for what? More space for what? More space for better life. More space for people to be able to easily put food on their table. So the point I'm making is that every policy and program of government, which is political, is intended to make economic life easier for the people, because essentially man is a pleasure-seeking and pain-avoiding being. So you cannot discuss democracy, how effective democracy has been, in isolation of the impact, the economic impact on the lives of the people.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Barrister, I'll come back to you to take your final take on the show, to have your final take on the show today. But Dr. Fred Latimo, there's a critical area we've had discussion on before, and I don't know if you have any information on that yet. It has to do with the power sector. There was a time we had a discussion. You told me that the governor was working at something. Eventually, a bill was signed into law by the states. Is there any updates to that? What is the latest as far as the plans of the state government and power is concerned?
Yes, there's an economic team that is working on that. If you follow the style of this of our governor, he's a man who wants things to usually get to an advanced stage before he starts talking about it. And what we are now, the first aspect was to lay the legal foundation for an enabling environment through the legal process for public-private partnership, and that has been done. So the economic team, they are now working out details with would-be investors, and once that is done, and then the area of the finance is concluded, then I'm sure His Excellency the Governor will now make a statement on where we are going to start from. Because the idea is that we should strategically and systematically cover the entire state as far as the electricity project is concerned.
Okay, so if you can do this in 30 seconds, let me just have your final take on this. Normally if you look at the way politics is played out in our country, is that the first 2 years, the first year is for the government to stabilize, the second year possibly for some governors, the third year is politicking, and we see that happening already in Delta State and also at the federal level. What should Deltans be expecting in the coming days?
What Delta should be expecting is more projects, more social, economic development. The governor is going to commission 42 roads within the next 3 weeks or so. And our social programs for the widow, for the less privileged, for our youth will continue. Road constructions will continue. And all the programs that His Excellency is doing, they will continue in the next 2 years before the next election. So there is no gap. Even when we are politicking, we'll be working at the same time. That is what I can assure them.
Okay, for you, Barrister Robinson, if you can, in 30 seconds, from the point of view you look at things as we speak now, what are some of the things you see ahead as far as Delta State and the Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu's administration is concerned? Do you see prospects in both ends, or you just think that we are moving straight into politicking ahead of the coming elections?
If my thinking is right, a program like this is meant to shape the programs and policies of government. And I think that being the fourth estate of the realm, you guys are doing very well. So my hope would be that the government, both at the state and the federal, will begin to look at how to make life easier for the poor. There is a model of development that is called making markets work for the poor, identifying the systemic constraints that are inhibiting the progress of the common traders, of the common men on the street. And
Okay, I'm sorry, Barrister. It appears we lost you there. But Reverend Lisa Falabi, quickly, let me get your final take on this, if you can, in 30 seconds. What are some of the things you see ahead? Do you see prospects ahead in as far as governance is concerned in Delta State? Also, what do you see ahead as far as the government at the center is concerned?
Well, if Bola Ahmed Tinubu reduces politics and pays governance, he may likely do better.
Do you see him reducing politics?
I see him reducing politics because he's already getting the whole house on his own side. From what he has done, the horse whipping and the cajoling is getting full on his own side. So he may likely want to put his name on the right side of history by delivering. I pray so. Because if he does well, it's for the good of Nigerians. And as for Delta, yeah, we talk about road infrastructure, but I also want the governor of Delta State to invest massively in agriculture. We need food. Let food price be low. We have massive arable land in Delta State. Let there be investment in the area of agriculture so that our pricing will not be dependent on Edo and Ondo state for food supply. We should also be producing enough to supply to other states in Nigeria. Yeah. Secondly, before I drop, there's a gas project in Ogara. Please, Fred Timo, you are hearing me. Let the Ministry of Oil and Gas go and look out for that project in Ogara. That project is supposed to be a massive employer of labor in Delta State. That project has been abandoned. It's a federal government project, but Delta State government can do something about that project to making sure that it's giving attention. Please, we'll follow up on that.
Reverend, I'm afraid so much we can take on the show today. It's been a conversation with the DG of the Delta State Bureau and of Delta State Bureau of Orientation and Communication, Dr. Fred Latimo, who joined us via the phone from the state capital, Asaba. Barrister Robinson Areya also joined us via the phone here in Warri, and of course my guest with me here in the studio, Reverend Louis Afolabi. This so much time would allow us to take on the show today, but we'll come your way again next week on this show. We'll continue beaming the searchlight on what is going on and what those we have elected into various offices doing, all for the betterment of the country and of course to make sure the people of this country get the best of democracy. But until I come your way again next week, I'm Laju Awala saying bye for now.
Redefined Radio.